So finally we have Melissa Cameron. Australian-born artist and writer Melissa Cameron lives and works in Seattle, Washington. She received her MFA in Jewelry and Metalsmithing from Monash University and a BA Honours in Interior Architecture from Curtin University in Australia. Her works are in the collections of the National Gallery of Australia, the Cheongju City Collection in South Korea, and the Art Center Melbourne, and the Tongba Regional Art Gallery. Melissa exhibits worldwide, and her work Melissa exhibits worldwide, and her works have featured in many publications, including Jewel Book, Art Jewellery Today 3, and Larkbook's 500 Silver Jewelry Designs. She is the recipient of multiple grants from the Australia Council for the Arts and a fellowship grant from the Artist Trust in Seattle. Her writing appears on the Art Jewellery Forum, and she serves on the Metalsmith Magazine Editorial Advisory Committee. Please welcome Melissa.
I haven't had someone have to read all of those Australian names before. You did a good job. Sorry about that.
It's a string of Australian experts.
I'm going to talk about the body politic exhibition that I had earlier this year in Canberra in Australia, and the works from the Unexpected show that I have are part of this. All of these works were conceived and created in the US, where I've lived and worked since 2012. There's 3 series that make up this exhibition, and one of them is confusingly called Body/Politic, but the first one and the main one is the Escalation series, which uses domestic objects to transform them into jewels to present a historical continuum of ancient to modern military technologies as a sort of family tree of tools for killing. Heat is also military related. It portrays a firework-like pattern, the effect of a high explosive anti-tank warhead on an armoured tank. And the Heat series is the one that's in the Unexpected exhibition. And then the final series is the Body/Politic, which is a series of jewels where the medium is part of the message. There's 2-tone grids of pixels that are actually representing lines of binary code, so that each piece literally spells out a message on the body of the wearer. So we'll start with the tank and the cannon. These were the originals of the Escalation series. The tank is in 2 parts. The M1 Abrams, which is the neck piece, and then the 1100 shot round, which is more of a breastplate. And they're the ones on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side is cannon, which is kind of the nickname of the overall work, and then there's 2 parts to that work as well. First is 7 personnel, which is the neck piece, and then 11 RPH cannon. So the idea is that I've taken 2 technologies that are similar. They have a similar degree of intimacy with the body, and that's whether that be in their use or in their performance. And these 2 pieces, the tank and the cannon, I find that in their performance as well as the damage that they can do are very similar. And for the whole of the Escalation series, that's what I'm kind of doing. So it's a loose sort of family tree. I think these one thing will beget the next thing, or will be used in a similar way. These 2 pieces were exhibited in Canberra, and then they were recently purchased by the National Gallery of Australia. And I photographed all of these works on my body, so you'll see that as I go through this presentation. You'll see the accompanying images. They are literally as well as metaphorically on me. In opening the exhibition, artist and writer Nigel Ledden noted that the works are all physically like windows, and that you can see through them. And in the images, you get to see through them to the maker, me, who is there standing in protest, saying with my body, no. And I'm happy to agree with what he said about that series. So this is the next pairing is gun and tank, and this one specifically comments on the Sandy Cork killings from 2012. So the 3 the three parts are a large breastplate, a bandolier, which is the gun section on the right, and then a large neck piece. So the breastplate is called 154 at 30 RPM, scale 1:4, and that's on chain. And then there's the 60 metres, which is the second piece, which is just a neck piece, which has all those small kind of confetti-like parts. And then thirdly, the AR-15, which is the bandolier, and that's the gun section. And the AR-15 is the military name. I've chosen in this series not to go with civilian names or anything like that. So if I am going to represent something, it's going to be for the military. So even down to the sword isn't what a mercenary might use, like a machete or something. The sword is exactly what it was intended to be used. It's not cross purposes. All of these weapons were made as machines for killing. So you can see me wearing that piece, and the sword piece, which is sort of the sister work to it in this slide. And the sword is a Zaman Dao, which is from Chinese a horse chopping sword. Is the literal translation, and that's the long neck piece there, and then the breastplate is 10,000 songs. And so in the way that the Sandy Hook piece references 154 was the amount of rounds that Lanza fired in the time that he was there, and then 60 metres was the amount. I printed out a floor plan and then tracked his movements and figured out exactly how far he moved in the building to shoot all the shots that he fired, and he had a 30-round magazine on the rifle that he was using, so that's all referenced in that work. Similarly, in this piece, the length of one of these swords would be 1 metre and 25 centimetres, so the full length of these pieces. And the number 10 came up a lot in this series. The Song's dynasty is around 1000 AD in our time. It spans from about 960 to about 1200 AD for us. And during the Song dynasty, with the introduction of the use of gunpowder militaristically, the introduction of the Zaman Dao itself, and also the publication of the Art of War. So it was kind of an interesting time frame. This is the arrow piece. We have the bullseye, we have the arrow, which is at 1:1, we have the bow, which is also at 1:1, and then we have the target, which is the breastplate. So wherever I could, I tried to make these works to be at scale, because there is a lot of jewellery that kind of glorifies weaponry, and it does it by making it looking cute and fancy, and I decided that in order to take these works outside of that cute and desirable category, I needed to make them more menacing, and part of the way of doing that was making them at full scale. So this part on the left-hand side is filled. When you pull it all the way out, it makes a full-size bow, so it's close to 1.7 metres in length, and then the pieces that tie together represent the bow that you would pluck, the strings that you would pluck on the bow. The bodkin point, which is something that features in this work, was one of the later tips for a bow and arrow bow, because they had figured out relatively early on that if you made too much curvature on your bow tip, it would get stuck in someone, whereas you could actually pull it out of someone and reuse the arrow if you didn't have too fancy a bow tip. So these are the kinds of interesting things that I learned in this series. The Singye Jong is the Korean fire arrow, and so we've entered another series here. It goes arrow, fire arrow, RPG, and then drone. So this is the second one of that series, and this is considered the first of the true rockets, because it used gunpowder to fire this arrow, and it was fired often out of like a grid. You would fire multiples at a time, so that the grid holding piece would be called a hwacha, which is the breastplate, the name of the breastplate in this piece. Then there's the faceted belly guard, and the actual arrow piece that I'm wearing around neck there. It would be made from bamboo, and it would be strapped to a bamboo arrow, and then that would be fired, so it could launch further with the propulsion of the gun. This is the RPG, or the Russian name is the Rushnoy Protiv-Artillery Granatomyot. Sorry for anyone who speaks Russian in the room. So the first piece is a brooch, which is sort of towards the front of the right side of the back of the left. There's the neck piece, which is called 22-metre radius at 1 to 9. And then anti-personnel round, which is the pin, because it depicts the anti-personnel round that you can fire from an RPG. And then the pendant is unhandled. And the rocket-propelled grenade launcher is depicted at 1 to 9 scale because there's 9 million of these weapons that have been made in the world so far, and there's 9 countries that still manufacture it. The necklace unfurls from the hand trail is a strip of 2.44 metres in length, which is 22 metres at 1 to 9 scale, and that represents the 22-metre blast radius of this weapon. The RPG is capable of 4 to 6 firings per minute, so the pin part is divided into 4 different sections. The RPG is very popular, very cheap and very effective, and so the work mimics the construction in ways that I could do that by using like a metal version of a cable tie in its construction. This is loosely known as the drone. It's 2 pieces, and this one actually reads in binary. There's enamelled and non-enamelled sections of this piece, and it was made out of a tortilla pan, so you can see the size of it, but it's quite large. But the piece actually reads, attempts to kill 41 men resulted in the deaths of an estimated 1,147 people as at the 24th of November 2014. This is a quote by S. Ackerman on US drone activity in Pakistan and Yemen on theguardian.com. This piece was recently accepted into Schmuck for 2017, so it'll be going to Germany shortly. It's made from a tortilla pan. There's over 1,400 pieces between this and the other drone work. This one was hand cut and enamelled. It's about half of the pieces are enamelled in order to write that message in binary. The other half are non-enamelled so that you get the on and off switching that you need to express something in binary. And there's about 40 metres of chain that went into this piece. And I finished it this year. This is the part that comes out of that section, so this one reads a slightly different message. It reads as the title of the work, which is General Atomics MQ-9 Reaper UAV, and a UAV is an aerial unmanned vehicle, which is what technically a drone is. And I like the idea of it becoming a pixelated image because it's via these sorts of pixelated images that you're able to have a US operator on US soil sending a drone out into the world. And this was, the MQ-9 is the first kind of killer version, which is a nice piece of intel. These are uniform shells. These are at a scale of 2.475 to 1, which makes them oversized. They're made from paper that was actually made from the uniforms of military personnel by a guy called Drew Cameron, who was no relation. But he works in collaboration with the former owners of these fabrics. So he takes former US military personnel and cuts up their uniforms and turns them into paper. And so I took some of this paper and turned it into those shells. And so the older version of that, these are old-fashioned cartridges from about the 1860s. They're made from wax and linen thread, and the thread colours represent the amount of people who died in combat versus the amount of people who died in poor sanitary conditions in the camps. So the smaller amount is actually the amount that died in combat, and that's represented by the red threads. And inside each of these, there's a replica Manet ball, which is the projectile that was used that I've cast in paraffin wax, and then there's black glass beads that mimic the black powder that would be normally used as the propellants. These are caltrops, and these are weapons that have been used since Roman times because, you know, elephants can step on them, pneumatic tyres can step on them, and they do basically the same thing. They stop the forward momentum of whatever it is that's coming to get you. So these ones are from the 19th, 20th and 20th century, and the pieces that I cut out, I decided to suture back up again with the materials from the 19th, 20th and 21st centuries. So the 19th century is stitched together with silk. The 20th century uses a linen thread that in a suturing style of the 20th century, and then the 21st century uses my version of a staple, which would be a common suturing method for now. These were displayed on some friends and my husband, who's in the back row there, literally in the photo as well as here. And this photo was taken at Seattle Pacific University when there was a shooting in 2014 in Otto Miller Hall, which was the building that this was in. And this building is less than a mile from my house. This is the big brother of Heat, which is the one that's in the show. The one in the show is just the central panel so that you get all parts of it. This is the much bigger version, and it's basically the effect that a heat warhead had on a tank. You see the spatter of metal on the outside and then the hole right in the centre where it penetrated. And these pieces are enamelled, and I have them laser cut, so it's a series of 3. And that's me. So you can get some scale. And then finally, the last works and the ones that I'm still working on now are the body/politic. The one on the left reads, good question, your body, the one on the right reads your body is your vote, and the one on the left reads unrepresented body. So they're in binary again, and so the silver and steel are the 2 different on-offs which are for the binary refrain. I'm going to be completely correct about it. It's individual ASCII strings of binary pixels that create these verbal works. And finally, the last ones that I've just been working on are a specific reaction to the politics that are happening in the United States at the moment. So the day after the recent US election, I began this extension to the body politic works entitled Resist. The new versions are individually enamelled in a beautiful rainbow of blues, the colour that is the opposite of orange on the traditional colour wheel. I'm going to say that again. This series is diametrically opposed to the gaudy, flashy, golden-orange climate now in ascendancy in the United States. These pieces are both personal and political, and they reflect on my own physical body and its position in the world, and on the bodies of others in significantly more compromised situations, bodies in combat areas, migrating bodies, and those bodies suffering illness. These are my active resistance to the prevailing political climate, a climate that I have documented over the last 4 years in these series of works. Thanks to the escalation of the events in 2016, documentation no longer seems enough. So 10% of the purchase price of all Resist pieces go to Islamic Relief USA, a non-for-profit 501c3 humanitarian agency who work on international and domestic development and relief projects. Thank you.